Hello, everyone. My name is Callum, and welcome back to the Real Talk podcast presented by ACLT. Hope you're all well. Before we get into it, please do like, comment, and subscribe. You can also listen to this on all your favorite podcast options as well in audio version. So, delighted to be joined by a very, very special guest, someone who supported the ACLT for a long time, but she has her own inspirational story as well. Antoinette Carr, welcome to the Real Talk podcast. How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you. Thank you. How are you?
Good. Not too bad, not too bad. We spoke a little bit off camera. Busy morning so far, but can't complain.
Okay,
The
good.
sun's still shining. The weather's not too bad, so we enjoy it while it lasts because in England we know the weather can change just like that.
Just like that. Yeah, I know.
Indeed. So Antoinette, please, can you start off by just telling us a little bit about yourself, please?
Well, I'm a married mum with two children. You could say I'm also a football mum because my son's into football. I like cooking. I also like anything to do with the homely stuff, home design, that kind of thing. Nice. I'm a very homely person. I don't know if that's got something to do with my age, but yeah, that's what excites me these days.
Nice. I mean, I've got to ask, you mentioned football. I'm a massive football fan. What team do you guys support?
Well, my husband and my son support Arsenal.
Okay.
And I support West Ham. Everyone's like, why West Ham? But I was born and bred in East London, and I suppose my grandfather supported West Ham, so I grew up supporting West Ham. But every now and again I kind of have to slip over to the Arsenal side, especially when there's big games going on.
I hear you. I'm a Liverpool fan, so sorry. I know. Hey, don't leave the interview. Don't leave the interview. But no, Antoinette, the reason we got you on here is obviously to share your story. So for anyone watching or listening, Antoinette was diagnosed with multiple myeloma back in February 2012. So Antoinette, just wanted to sort of ask, can you explain how you felt sort of in the lead up to your diagnosis and actually on the day of your diagnosis when you actually found out the news, please?
Well, from the lead up, I was feeling very tired shortly after having my son. I'd went back to work after maternity leave, and I, just carried on as you do. But then I started to notice that I was getting very, very, very tired to the point where, I just felt like it wasn't safe for me to drive. So I went to my GP, and she done regular blood tests. I wasn't even thinking along those lines. I was thinking, probably vitamin D deficiency or even possibly postnatal depression. So I was very surprised when the test results came back as cancer, as myeloma. When I got the official diagnosis, because I had to get a second opinion, because at the time of my diagnosis being 39, the consultant was very surprised because not many people get diagnosed at such a young age. It's usually people, 50s, 60s, So when I was told, it just the rug was just pulled from under my feet. I can only describe it as an out-of-body experience. That's all I remember. I remember the consultant's mouth moving, but I couldn't take in what he was saying to me because all I kept thinking was cancer. I'm gonna die. My kids are still babies, So that's how I felt. So yeah.
Yeah, obviously, I think anyone in your situation would have felt the exact same. So, sort of from then till now, what does everyday life look like for you, and how has your life changed since being diagnosed with multiple myeloma?
My life changed rapidly. You know, I went from a busy working full-time mum, always out with the kids, always doing something, you know, we were never in the house, to, as much as I tried to continue to work, I just couldn't, because the fatigue was just too much, along with the treatment that I was having. So I had to stop working. I couldn't do activities with the children because I was too tired. A lot of the responsibilities then went over to my husband. So, you know, it was a big strain, you know, for somebody that was very independent, very outgoing. I know people say sometimes, you know, oh, don't let it define you, don't let it take over you, you know, but it's physically and mentally, it does take a lot out of you, you know, and I would say that I'm quite a strong individual. So, it was very hard to deal with.
Yeah, I can only imagine. I mean, as you said, this diagnosis was back in 2012. So we are
Yeah.
10 years on from the diagnosis. And that in itself is an encouragement for anyone listening. I'm sure they'll draw inspiration from that as well. But on a day-to-day basis, it's not easy to live with what you're living with. But where do you draw strength from? How do you get through each day?
Each day, I would say, through my children, my husband. You know, I've always had in the back of my mind, like, I have to be here for them, you know. So every milestone, you know, that's reached is an even more of an encouragement. I mean, my son is in year 8 now. To be honest with you, if I'm really honest, I didn't think I'd get to see that, you know, but I have. And my daughter, you know, she's not long before she starts uni, study biochemistry and forensics. So that as well, you know, I'm just like, well, thank God, you know. So every milestone is what's, how can I say, giving me the fight in my belly to keep going, you know, no matter what obstacles put in front of me.
Yeah, brilliant. In terms of sort of physically day to day, how has this diagnosis affected you physically? In terms of, you said before you were very busy, you're always out with the kids, and
Yeah.
you know, you're working. How has it affected you physically?
Well, physically, apart from the fatigue and, you know, the usual side effects that you get with chemotherapy, like, you know, being sick and the numbness of the feet and the hands. My back fractured because the myeloma progressed into my spine. And this was just before the pandemic. And I ended up with 13 fractures and collapsed vertebrae. So I was unable to walk. And, you know, the doctor said I'm very lucky that I wasn't paralyzed. So for me now, I've had surgery, but I've now been left with a permanent deformity, which is called kyphotic deformity. And there's nothing that they can do about it. So I've lost 3 inches in height, and I've got this curve that causes me terrible pain daily upon trying to just do basic day-to-day things at home. So I can't drive at the moment. And just simple things I find hard to do without ending up in pain. And, you know, I think that, you know, that cancer is hard to deal with.
Yeah.
But losing your independence to a certain extent is even more hard to deal with. Because at least, okay, in the earlier stages when I was going through all the treatment, at least I could still try and do stuff or try and plan stuff. But now, just a simple day-to-day task, you know, I have to think about, you know, what the implications could be of me doing that. You know, putting a load of washing on, you know, in the, you know, the next few minutes, I'm getting the morphine out. So that is my life at the moment.
Yeah, it's really difficult. Obviously, we've spoken before, but even myself, I didn't realize it's sort of in such detail as to what you go through. That is really difficult. I mean, you mentioned the pandemic and you having the operation, but I know you had some issues regarding the pandemic and actually having your operation. Could you just elaborate a little bit more for people who are listening as to why the pandemic was such an issue for you?
Yeah, well, originally when I my back collapsed, and I was in hospital for 3 weeks. I was in, I don't want to say the hospital next on, but I was in hospital for 3 weeks for the oncology side. And they are not specialists in your bones. So because of the pandemic, I couldn't be transferred over to the hospital that I should have been transferred over to deal with my spine. So instead, I was put into a off-the-shelf TLSO brace, and I was sent home with the brace and lots of pain relief. So what was happening was the fractures were still happening because the treatment that they had me on at the time wasn't working quick enough to suppress the myeloma. So it was just ravishing my spine. And I was in so much pain, you know, I kept, because all you could do was phone, you know, because you couldn't go to the hospital during the pandemic, you couldn't just turn up. And I'd phone to try and speak to the doctors, tell them that, you know, this pain is worse, it's getting worse. And I'll just get told, just take more pain relief. No, we can't see you. When is your appointment? My appointment wasn't for like another 3 months or something ridiculous like that. And so what happened there was that I gained more fractures. So this is why I ended up from originally having 4 fractures to 13 fractures and collapsed vertebrae. So what I had to do was write to another hospital, which was recommended by another myeloma patient I was speaking to at the time. And she recommended a particular surgeon that she had an operation with. So I wrote to him, explained my situation, explained the pain that I was in. And then within a week, his secretary called me. Within the next week, I was in. And within the following 3 weeks, I was having my operation. And it was only just recently, on Monday, in fact, I went back to that hospital that I had the operation to see if anything could be done about the kyphotic deformity, because as I said, I'm still having a lot of pain with that. And unfortunately, he said that because I came to them so late, you can't reverse it. The only thing that they can do now is to saw me in half, rebuild the spine like scaffolding. But he said the risks are just too high because I could end up being paralyzed from the chest down. So that is just not an option for me. And he said, unfortunately, I have to learn to live with the curve and the pain. So yeah, that's how the pandemic affected me, because, you know, as much as I had fractures in the beginning, it could have been prevented from getting worse. I could have been prevented from ending up with this visible curve in my back and height loss. So
I mean, the story is very moving, and you're a very humble person. Again, I've had the benefit of speaking to you before we've done this interview, and you may not see yourself in this way, but there will be someone out there who's potentially either just been diagnosed or live with multiple myeloma, and they will be drawing inspiration and courage from your story. What advice would you have to anyone who may have been recently diagnosed or is living with multiple myeloma?
I would say always look for the lights at the end of the tunnel. You know, I would always say, Yes, we have doctors and we have nurses that are qualified professionals, you know, but no one really knows. You know, I was told during the pandemic, shortly after my back went, you know, that I was referred to palliative care. So I was thinking, oh my God, palliative, you know, they're telling me, am I going to die, you know?
Mm.
So the nurses came round and, oh, do you want to talk to the children about this? Do you want to put that into place? And I just looked at them and said, no. You know, I practically, in a nice way, told them to out, you know, because I'm not going to die. Who are they to tell me I'm going to die? You know, it's only one person. I don't know, you know, but I have faith and I believe there's only one person can call me when he's ready, not the doctors and the nurses. You know, I will do what I need to do to try and you know, keep myself relatively as well as possible. You know, I'll take all my medication and do everything that they say to do. But one thing I'm not going to do is just give up, you know. So I would say to anybody, you have to be your own advocate is one very important thing. And also just believe and have faith, you know, even in your darkest of days, just believe that, you know, things will get better. And I know some people will say, oh, yeah, whatever, but I truly believe that, you know, your state of mind and your mindset is what will help you get through, you know, anything like this.
Yeah.
You know,
Well said.
I know, yeah. So.
Well said. So the main reason we're here is to discuss something which we're really passionate about from the ACLT. Recently, your friend, is it pronounced Janice?
Janice, yeah.
Janice, I got it right. I'm happy about that. She recently set up a GoFundMe page in an attempt to raise funds to allow you to fulfill a lifelong dream. So can you actually tell everyone what is that lifelong dream of yours?
My lifelong dream is to go to Jamaica. I mean, yeah, I have been before, you know, when yes, Savannah was, you know, a little girl and Ruben, he was a baby, so he wouldn't remember. So I would like to go and take my kids back to Jamaica for to celebrate my 50th, because I'll be 50. Savannah will be almost 18. And it will also be my 20th wedding anniversary. So it's quite a few milestones. And with everything that's, you know, not just me, because it doesn't just affect me, it affects the children, it affects my husband as well. You know, it would mean so much for me to be able to create those memories for the kids, you know, because I think that's very important, you know. So, and also, you know, see family while I'm out there as well. Would be nice, even though, you know, quite a few of them have, you know, no longer with us, but I still like to, you know, go out there and, you know, have that experience with the children, you know, and create that memory.
Yeah. So anyone who's listened to this, you might get someone out there saying, oh, why should I pay for someone else to go on holiday?
Yeah.
But can you just go into a bit of detail why it's been a struggle for you to potentially go on holiday up until now, and why it's so vital that we try and get this dream of yours fulfilled sooner rather than later?
Well, I would say for me, it's the timing. I mean, at the moment, I'm on a clinical trial, and thank God it is actually working. And this has been the best treatment that I've been on ever since I was diagnosed. So I've had, you know, 8 different types of chemo, and this is the one. Please, God, you know, long may it continue. So as we know, myeloma has no cure. This could wake up at any time, and if my levels start going up, you know, I won't be able to go anywhere. So while I'm sort of in a good place, I would like to go March next year to Jamaica with the family. yeah, and yeah, I can understand, with the cost of living and everything going up, some people may think, oh, well, I'd like to go on holiday, but I can't. I mean, if I could, I would be out there grafting. Me and my
Yeah.
husband would be out there grafting like we have done, but it's because of this unfortunate card that we've been dealt through no fault of our own. This is why Janice has set up the GoFundMe. I mean, to be honest, I was a bit hesitant at first because, I'm, pride and, I've always done things for myself. But, Janice sort of like had a talking, spoke to me and, she said, come on, Anne, she calls me, you and the family have been through a lot and you deserve it. So, this is why she set up the GoFundMe. So,
and we think she's done a fantastic job with that as well. And I'm glad she was able to talk you around into doing it. Before we close off this podcast, I've got some quick fire fun questions for you. And
okay.
I know you're not looking forward to this section, but I think we can have some fun with it. So this is literally, I want you to answer with the first thing that comes to your mind. No thinking about it. I ideally want you to answer within 5 seconds.
Okay.
So you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your favorite Jamaican dish?
Ackee and saltfish.
Okay. I'm more of a jerk chicken man, but I can get on board with ackee and saltfish. Your favorite Jamaican music artist?
Oh God, there's so many. Oh, Taurus Riley.
Okay, I can live with that. I'm a Beres Hammond man, but I do like a bit of Taurus Riley as well. Your favorite song by a Jamaican artist?
Oh gosh. It's in my head. I can't sing it though.
You might as well now.
Oh no. Head side, killing with it now.
Mr. Vegas.
Yes.
Mr. Vegas. Yeah, that is that's a classic. That is a classic.
Yeah.
And the main activity you want to do when you get to Jamaica?
Oh, the main activity. I can't really do much. Do you know? Eat food. No. Oh gosh, the main activity. I would say. I know it's over the 5 seconds now.
We'll let this one slide.
I'd like to go. Yeah, because I can't. I'd like to go to Duns River Falls, but I don't know if I can because I won't be able to jump off no cliffs or anything like that.
Well, you're brave. I've been to Duns River and I wasn't jumping off no cliff. You're braver than I am for even thinking about it. So, God willing, you're able to. But no, Antoinette.
Oh yeah.
All jokes aside, your story is truly inspirational. We'll do everything from our side to get you to Jamaica. Please, people, if you've listened to this, if you've watched this, please do share it. Also, the link to Antoinette's GoFundMe page will be in the description. So please make sure you go on there and donate generously, please. Antoinette, I'm sure we'll speak again. But again, massive thank you for you coming on here and sharing your story. It wasn't easy for you to do it. You've been really receptive to us and really supportive to everyone at the ACLT as well. So we're here, we're fighting your corner, and yeah, we're completely here with you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure coming on today and sharing my story.
No,
and thank you for having me.
No, absolute pleasure. So everyone, thank you very much for watching or listening. Please like, comment, subscribe. This has been the Real Talk podcast presented by ACLT. Till we see you next time, take care.